Hi guys. Hi friend. So I wanted to show you, before last year I did a fit a year in a whole composition notebook. See, I already thought of it as a planner. And I wanted to show you more in depth of how I do this. But I also wanted to show you some tips for people who, like me, are always busy. I don't have a lot of time to invest. So the setup I'm going to show you is very, very quick, very simple. And it is an investment. So this right here cost about 50 cents. But these cost about $10. And I can use this for every month. And these will help me do the setup. We're going to do it really simple, really quick, and I think when you are in a rush and you don't feel like you have a lot of time to do a setup, I think that stencils are a great way, especially if you don't feel artistic. So I'm going to show you using stencils. And I also found these great tabs because last year I cut out, and I'll share the link of that video, but I cut little tabs out. This year I found these cool tabs on makeyourownzone.com, and I really like these tabs. I use them in my own personal bullet journal, and I will continue to use these because these are awesome. And you just cut them and use some glue. So that's our supplies. Is we're going to use some markers. I'm going to use markers I got from Amazon. These are just the shuttle art ones, and they have a little bit of shadowing come through, but they don't bleed too bad, so I'm just going to use those. A glue stick, a pen, and my stencils.
What do you do when you find out that you filmed part of your video off screen? You cut it as much as you can and you still want to share it because you think it's an amazing idea, and that's what I did. So sorry about some of the video, but I did want to show you guys how I created a composition notebook and did it all for 1 year in one book. And I did a different video before, which I'll link at the end of the video, but the biggest change I think with this one compared to the other one is I found some tabs. And I'm going to say that using tabs for your monthly planner or your planner, bullet journal, whatever, it does make it feel like it's easier to use, and it just feels better because I can just go straight to the month that I need to. In my regular planner, in this composition notebook, I can just flip to the one I want to go to, and I really like that a lot. With the cover page, like I said, I was going to use stencils for the entire time. When I created the cover page, I ended up using a marker and it bled through, so then I glued the pages. The tabs alone took me about 7 minutes. So that took a long time to do the tabs. Cover page only took me maybe 4, if that. And it's mainly because I kept catching the marker onto the page. I did have to glue it though because there was way too much bleed through. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying too much attention. And if I would have just went over it once, I think it wouldn't have had as much bleed through. But since I went over it multiple times, it bled through quite a bit. So to fix that, I just glued the pages, and I still ended up having enough pages for a year at a glance, a goals page, and there's still empty pages in the beginning of the bullet journal. And I kind of like that because then I can decide what I want to put in there, if I want to do favorites or if I want to do yearly habit trackers or pixels, a year in pixels. I can do that because I have those other pages to kind of figure out and play with a little bit more. But when I counted out the pages, I did, I believe, Okay, I had to go back and check. I recounted like 3 times. So for the monthlies, I did 8 pages for each month. And then for the beginning pages, I had 5, but since I glued 2 of those pages together, I only ended up with 4 pages, front and back. And giving 8 pages per month made it so that I could actually have enough for each week had its own spread, the 2 pages. And so that kind of made it easier for me to figure out. And I did a calendar page with a goal page beside it. And I think that the way I laid everything out made it easy I could see that this would work. And then I only did the week tabs enough to do like the to-do list on the top. And the whole bottom of each page for the weeklies ended up being empty. And I think that this really works because it gives me enough space that I can rearrange some things and kind of play around with what I wanted to do on the bottom if I wanted to do prompts or something like that. And I tried to use a couple different things. I tried using a Crayola marker, which kind of bled through too. I also used color pencils, and then my pen that said there was no bleed through, it did have some shadowing and bleed through. It didn't bleed through, but it had a lot of shadowing. So it's kind of, when you're using bullet journals and you're using thin pages and you don't want to lose the pages by gluing them together, the best thing you can use is like a ballpoint pen and color pencils, because anything else marker wise or something is going to bleed through. Even if you double the pages together, it's still going to have that effect. But I also think that if you don't want to use stencils, you can use stickers. The main thing I was trying to figure out was how could I create a book in the least amount of time, because sometimes that's one thing that we struggle with, is that we don't have the time to do decorations and that type of thing, and I think stencils can help with that. And that's what I tried to show here. I mean, I only did 1 month and it took me an hour, but I think once I know that it took me an hour, I kept it going. It took me an hour to figure out how I wanted to lay out the pages too. And once I got January situated, if I wanted to continue that layout throughout the rest of the year, I think it would go way faster to set up the entire bullet journal. But it took me about an hour to do the whole front pages and the month, and I feel like that was okay. I think part of it too was me sitting there going, oh, that bled through, so I had to take time to glue it. And so you have to account for that type of thing. If you already know what writing materials you want to use and you know that it's not going to bleed through, then you could just automatically go through and you already know what you're going to do. I went into this not doing a test page, just trying to figure out how I could make it work out, and using stencils. So I feel like an hour, I think I could have cut that time even more, but I was kind of twiddling around and trying to find things. So, but that's approximately how long it usually takes me to do my setups too, stickers or stencil wise. And yeah, that's about how long it takes me to do a monthly spread. I mean, it seems like a lot of time, but once it's set up, then you're set to go for the rest of the month. And I usually take that time that I'm doing the spreads either with stickers, stencils, or just drawing, and kind of use it as a relaxation type of activity. So then I can kind of be like, okay, what are my plans? What am I doing? And I think that's kind of why some of us got into bullet journaling, is because we wanted to take that time to make this planner exactly the way we want it to look, the way that it's going to function the best for us. That is why I got into bullet journaling, was because I couldn't find a planner that was set up the exact way I wanted it to be set up. And I needed the pages to flow in the way I wanted them to, and to have all the different areas I wanted, some blank areas. And I feel like with setting up your own composition notebook or your own bullet journal or planner, or however you're going to use, I think once you start playing with the setups and you start figuring out what works best for you, then that helps you in the long run, because sometimes once we start figuring out what works for us, we're creatures of habit and we stick to those kind of layouts, because when we try something else, we'll try it for a little while, maybe 1 month or 2, and then we're like, no, I like it better the other way because I know how that will function for me. So I tried to show you guys a couple different ways that I would set up the composition notebook to use, and I probably will be using this one. I have the other composition notebook where I combined 2. I did that last month. I think that one I'll use before this one, but I'm trying to use these throughout the years too, so we'll see how that kind of goes. But if you like this video, tell me some suggestions that you would use for your pages if you only had a limited amount of pages.